So I don't have to go over this model 17 times, okay? The spinal cord and the spinal nerves and ganglia and plexuses on this model. Somebody has been busy labeling away here. It wasn't me. So, I remember I told you earlier that this is an anterior view on this model. It gives it away. A couple of things give it away. The main thing being the position of the brain, olfactory bulbs, the pons, the pons, etc. So this is anterior view of the brain. Therefore, this is an anterior view of the spinal cord. See this groove here in the front of the spinal cord? What's the groove? What's the deep, deep, deep gash-like groove in the front of the spinal cord column? The anterior median
Fissure.
fissure. Anterior median fissure. So that's what this groove is. The anterior median fissure into the spinal cord. And what folds into the anterior median fissure? The pia mater does. The pia mater shrink wraps the spinal cord, comes all the way around, and it folds in to the anterior median fissure, just like that. So completely surrounding that spinal cord, even going so far as to enter the fissure, is pia mater. So the surface would be pia mater, and all the way down. Spinal cord starting here, covered, surrounded by pia mater, spinal cord ending right down here, So the spinal cord tapers to a cone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It actually comes almost to a point right here called the conus medullaris. So pretty much parallel diameter, unchanging diameter for most of its length. You get down to the base of it, it suddenly narrows in as the conus medullaris. And that's the end of the spinal cord. Spinal cord stops right there. These are the last pair of ribs. So the spinal cord ends just below your rib cage. So what about the rest of your vertebral column? You still got vertebral column going all the way down to the coccyx. But there's no spinal cord in the rest of the vertebral column. But there are spinal nerves hanging in the center. So, conus medullaris, the end of the spinal cord. Then we've got these dangling strands right down the center off the conus medullaris. These are mostly spinal nerves. Together, they form what's called the cauda equina, the horse's tail here. So all these strands together form the collective horse's tail. And I said they're mostly spinal nerves. One exception, dead center. Let me slide this to my right a bit. Dead center, right off the conus medullaris, is a little strand of pia mater right on the midline. And it's called the filum terminale. So the pia mater then is a continuation. Just the spinal cord is ended, and that little dangling strip of pia mater continues right down the midline as the filum terminale. But all of the strands you see on either side, they are spinal nerves. Okay, and we come on down. I need to come around to this side. Come on, all the way around. So, cauda equina dangling here. Filum terminale pia mater, starting at conus medullaris, coming down the midline. It comes to here. See this U-shaped sac? This is the dural sac. Can you see that? And here, lean in. This is the dural sac, right there. This is the bag-like bottom of the dura mater, the dural sac. So the dura mater ends here with the dural sac. But the pia mater, filum terminale, continues through it, goes all the way to the coccyx, actually joins to the coccyx. So you have filum terminale interna from conus medullaris to the dural sac. Filum terminale externa, somebody has marked the hell out of here. Filum terminale externa from here all the way down to there, actually joining to the coccyx right there. Filum terminale externa from here to there. Outside the dural sac is the externa. So it actually does join to the coccyx. Okay, let's see. Let's take a look at the 31 pairs of spinal nerves. 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, 1 coccygeal pair. 31. Here they are. Let's just do the left side here. And actually we could do either side for those. So there's the right side C1, first cervical, curving over top the atlas. There's the left side C1, curving over top the atlas. So coming out here, C2. So there's C1, coming out there is C2, here is C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, and C8. Now, see that little pink bulge? That's a ganglion. It's actually a spinal ganglion, a dorsal root ganglion. The nerve proper begins immediately lateral to its associated ganglion. So there's the ganglion, there's the nerve. This is a ventral, let's see now, see what we have here. Is that a ventral ramus? I have to remember. Anyway, but the nerve is immediately lateral to the ganglion, that's C8, which makes this T1. And look what T1 does, the first thoracic. It actually splits. Part of it goes up here above first rib, part of it goes between ribs 1 and 2. And we'll have more on that in a minute. So there's T1, there's the ganglion, so there's T1, T2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. There's the ganglion, there's T12. There's L1, first lumbar, and by the way, as far as I know, they do not link. T12 and L1 do not link, so I don't know what all this is supposed to be. But T12 comes out under the last rib, T1 you see between ribs 1 and 2. So under the first rib is T1, under the last rib, T12, in case you lose count, for example. So there's T12, there's L1, L2, L3, L4, and L5. And this around, there's L5. So now we get to the sacral. 5 pairs. So we're only doing left side here. So there's L5, so there is S1, S2, so there's the ganglion, so there's the start of the nerve, S2, S3, S4, and S5. Left side S5. Then the coccygeal pair, they don't show the ganglia for them. There's the left side coccygeal 1, there's the right side coccygeal 1. So there's the coccygeal pair on either side of the filum terminale externa, right there, the joints of the coccyx. Okay, so those are all 31 pairs of spinal nerves. Let's see. Let's point out the ganglia again. There are 2 kinds of ganglia shown on this model: the spinal ganglia and the sympathetic chain ganglia. So the spinal ganglia are the ones closer to the spinal cord. In fact, they are the ganglia that are closest to the spinal cord. Spinal ganglia here, this being the spinal cord. More lateral position ganglia are shown here. So there's a spinal ganglion, lateral to it is a sympathetic chain ganglion. There's another sympathetic chain ganglion. And they would have partners over here that they have removed for some reason. Let's see. So, key functional difference. The spinal ganglia are part of sensory pathways, afferent pathways. The sympathetic chain ganglia are part of motor pathways, efferent pathways. Despite their proximity, they've got opposite functions in terms of direction of conduction, anti-parallel direction of conduction, kind of like that antiporter concept with carriers. Let's see, what else? The plexuses, the nerve plexuses. There are 5 pairs of nerve plexuses. A plexus is a braiding together, coming together of the axons of different spinal nerves. So, we have the cervical, left and right cervical plexus, brachial plexus, lumbar plexus, sacral plexus and coccygeal plexus. So, a couple of them are obvious, a couple are not so obvious. We're going to do all five. So we've got C1 coming out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And those 8 cervical spinal nerves, first 4 braid together to form a cervical plexus. The remaining 4 braid very, very thickly together to form a brachial plexus. So this is the left brachial plexus, this is the right brachial plexus in the region of the arm, the brachium here. The thoracic spinal nerves do not braid together to form a plexus. We've got to come all the way down past the ribs now. And so there's our L1, L2, L3, L4, L5. So they're coming out. And they're braiding together here to form a left lumbar plexus here. Now, the sacrals, here we have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sacrals come out, and that's 1, 2, 3, and 4. They come out and form the left sacral plexus here. The 5th sacral and the coccygeal come out and form the little coccygeal plexus. So there's a coccygeal plexus on each side of the coccyx, right there. This being the coccyx, right there. And anything else? I think that's about it for this particular model. Any questions?